Hey, it's the Nerdy Sports Fan! We're here in week 2 and episode 2 of the Nerdy Sports Fan Weekly. Now, Antonio Brown has dominated the news cycle for the past few weeks. There seems to always be something stupid going on with this guy. He froze his feet, doesn't want to wear a helmet that protects his head. Then there's the fines, not showing up for meetings. It's all crap, all right? It all fits his character, but Jerry Rice, writing on the West Coast, he put out there that this whole thing was a plan from the beginning. That Antonio Brown wanted to play for the Patriots, and, well, understandably, Pittsburgh's not going to want to trade him within their conference, so they have a better chance at getting a deeper run in the playoffs. So he just did whatever he had to do in Oakland to get released from that contract so he could be picked up by the Patriots. And that sounds right. I mean, as much as this guy's looked like a clown all offseason, how many of these things are really in character with what he's done in Pittsburgh? The issues that they had with him was he was a bad locker room guy and a diva and very me-centric. It wasn't that he was doing all of this ridiculous off-field stuff, all right? The guy's not Terrell Owens. The guy just... Yeah, I think this was just a masterclass in what NBA players have been doing. Dictating to the league what they're going to do and forcing the league to bend to their whim instead of going by league rules and just dealing with it. And this is probably going to be a focus in the union negotiations next. They're likely going to be pressuring the league to allow the players to have more power and more say over where they go and what they do with their careers. And I think that's good. I do. As much as it's bad for the team that the players are leaving, the whole country really loved watching LeBron and Dwayne Wade play together. Okay? But let's not forget that. Let's not forget that all these NBA teams are benefiting from letting the players really have a say in what they want to do. So NFL could benefit in the same way, could reach out to and engage with their fan base in the same way that the NBA does. The NBA does everything right on social media and fan engagement, and the NFL needs to get into that space. These players aren't as social media savvy as NBA players are. There's a handful of them that really put themselves out there the way NBA players do, like the Cam Newtons of the world, showing up to press conferences looking like Guns N' Roses music videos. But yeah, that's where it needs to go. So Antonio Brown doing all of this crazy actually might lead to some good. And then, of course, what happened this week? The man got sued in civil court. There's a lawsuit against him for rape. A former trainer of his is accusing him of multiple counts of sexual assault between 2017 and 2018. So, obviously he was on the right team before during this span of time because, you know, birds of a feather. He's probably calling his boy Big Ben to see how to get out of it right now. Yeah. Is every NFL player a rapist or a spousal abuser? I get that these guys are very, very talented, that they are, they have a lot of money, and they can become a target for things, but the rate of false accusations is so incredibly low that you have to take that into account. You just have to, okay? the rate of false accusations is insanely low. Do they happen? Absolutely. Is somebody who's very, very wealthy a more likely target for those things? Sure. Got it. Take the national rate. Take the national average and say double it. It's still not even 10%. If you doubled the national rate of false accusations that are brought to court, not some chick talking to her friends and not doing anything about it. I'm talking about the ones brought to court. If you double the national rate of false accusations, you still don't get to 10%. So, yeah, he probably did this. Okay? It probably happened exactly the way it's laid out in the lawsuit. Based off of everything else he's doing just to get his way to go to New England, do you really think he's not going to do things like that in his private life? Do you really think this guy knows how to take no for an answer? My bet's no. So, New England, yet again, is leaning on all of the good faith of winning to deal with some of the scummiest human beings on the planet. Their best players are known for, well, substance violations because of the trainer that Tom Brady brought to the mix. So you have an entire organization that's likely got some of their best players doping and they're looking the other way. You have a coach that's been caught cheating multiple times, and you have a lot of players that are always coming in that have drug issues or abuse issues of spouses and children. You have rape issues. When is the nation going to care enough about what goes on behind the scenes to say, you know what, maybe winning doesn't matter that much? That's the question I have here. I don't understand why commercialism, beating your chest with your jersey on, screaming at the television, why these things matter more than public safety, public health, and making sure our children have an example of how they're supposed to live. Because right now, what we're telling our kids who are watching these games with us is you really can get away with almost anything as long as you win. Is that really the message we want to put out there? Sorry it's such a somber thing. Usually my stuff's more upbeat, but this one really got to me. I've been watching the Patriots pretty closely, being a Bills fan, for a few years. And my team, they say character first, character first, character first, with the new coaching regime. And, you know, I scoffed at that a bit with what was going on with LaShawn McCoy. But overall, they've really held true to it. They don't necessarily get rid of those players right away, but they've gotten rid of those guys. So, yeah, I tend to like them for that. And the Patriots don't say character first, character first, character first. They say do your job. Now, is that effective in winning? Absolutely. But at what cost? So, yeah, there's that. On to some lighter notes. We got injury news. Nick Foles is hurt for half the season, and his backup quarterback was like a 5th or 6th round pick. Actually didn't do bad. So we'll see what's going on down there in Jacksonville. For now, you're going to have to devalue wide receivers. Leonard Fournette and the running game pretty much is going to stay level because they're going to get more volume, but everybody's going to know it's coming. So the defense is going to have a little bit lesser value now because, well, they're going to be on the field all day. So that's the assumption, at least. Let's monitor this situation, see how the QB works in the next few weeks. Arizona did far better than what I was anticipating, but only after 3 quarters of puking all over themselves. Maybe that's an example of trying to get too cute, and then once they really needed to go and try and win the thing, or at least make a good show of it, they went to more vanilla basic things. They went to more of a hurry up or whatever they can take from the defense instead of trying to dictate whatever it was that they did. It's like a switch was flipped. The fourth quarter was an entirely different game for the Cardinals. I actually blame the Lions there, but yeah, bad leadership, bad coaching tends to lose you games like this. They're lucky they came out with a tie. But kudos to Arizona for doing far better than expected. Who saw Lamar Jackson happening like that? Really? Lamar Jackson, 5 touchdowns through the air. Now, I knew that this guy was going to be far better than people thought he was going to be when he was coming out of college. And I know it's a card that a lot of people pull, but you have to assume there was actually a bit of racism in saying the guy's a running back instead of a quarterback. When you look at his NCAA stats, you look at what he was able to do in college, offensive output through the air was very, very comparable to what you're getting out of Baker Mayfield. He just also happened to have it with his legs. So, yeah, he wanted to play quarterback because he's a good quarterback. And it's amazing to me that the only person that understood that from a GM standpoint and understood that his value was first round was Ozzie Newsome. Yeah, one of the only black GMs that the league had. Actually, might have been the only black GM at the time. Was the only guy that thought that this guy could play quarterback, not running back, and gave him a first-round grade. Yeah, that's what people are talking about when they talk about systemic racism. It's not, hey, you guys are being intentional assholes. It's not that. It's that the stigma of being black and being able to run somehow devalued him, even though he could also throw the ball intensely well in college. Was he inaccurate and was he bad last year as a quarterback? Yeah. You know who else was? Josh Allen. Both of them leaned on their legs because they're athletic. But we didn't talk about Josh Allen coming out of college not being a quarterback and instead being a running back or a tight end or something. We did with Lamar Jackson. I don't get it. Okay? I thought the guy was going to be a lights-out quarterback eventually, and he's actually just ahead of the curve from what I thought he was going to be. So kudos to Lamar Jackson. I didn't necessarily see the Browns not being good. But looking back on everything that happened in the offseason, you can actually point to a couple of things and say, yeah, we should have been thinking about that. One, George Kittle has never been a head coach before, and that is always a gamble. Yes, first-time head coaches can be good. They can also be epically bad. Okay? Some people are just coordinators. Ask Mike Pettin. Ask Greg Williams. Fantastic defensive minds who are still, right now, producing great defenses. When they had head coaching jobs, they choked. So it's probably going to be what happens with Vic Fangio, too, if you paid attention to the Bronco game. But, yeah, Kittle might not actually be able to do the head job. And then, of course, you lose Greg Williams. The strength of this team last season was their defense. And scheme matters a lot with defense. I get it. People want to say it's so much more about the Jims and Joes than the X's and O's. That isn't really true. Okay? Do you need talent to run a scheme? Absolutely, you need talent. But if you have a bad scheme and a bad plan, the talent doesn't matter. Okay? If they're in the wrong place in a situation, they're not going to be able to make up so much ground with their epic athleticism that they're going to be able to put themselves in a good situation every time. Okay? If you have a bad plan and a bad scheme, you're in bad position, and your talent can only get over that hump so much. So let's just stop. Scheme matters, I would say, equally to talent. So when you lose a fantastic defensive mind in Greg Williams, you better replace him with somebody who's just as good. And a show of hands for anybody who can name the defensive coordinator for the Browns. Yeah, that's right. Nobody. All right? You have no-name coaches with some experience under some really good coaches, sure. But they're still no-name coaches in and of themselves. So, yeah. Their defense was going to be worse. Their offense was hopefully going to be better just based off of Baker Mayfield's progress and George Kittle having more say-so over what's going on. But that obviously didn't happen. So the Browns might be in line for an epic meltdown. Like, they might actually be worse this year if they don't fix this quick. And people should have saw it coming. But I think everybody just wants the Browns to be good, and for the right reasons. You know, they've been bad for so long. Everybody wants to see the underdog do well. But, man, it's just not happening, I don't think. Give Baker another year or two before he can overcome bad coaching. You know, he's not Peyton Manning. He's not Drew Brees. He's not Tom Brady. He is a second-year quarterback that had a good rookie season. Let's put that into perspective. We don't know what he is for his entire career arc yet. We are all just projecting what he can be. And he still has a lot of potential. Okay? I'm not knocking him to the point where, you know, he's going to be a bum. Okay? He's obviously going to be above average. But is he going to be great? Is he going to be Hall of Fame worthy? Maybe. Let's just not crown him yet, because all of the summer-long, Browns Fest that we had going on, it was a bit much. So that's all I got for you this week. Check out the rest of my videos. I'm breaking down each individual game. I'm calling it against the spread and giving fantasy football advice. So hit up the rest of them. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week.